So I wanted to get on here and talk real quick about something that's been frustrating me recently. Um, at church last Sunday after Bible study, I was talking to a brother and we got in kind of like a little disagreement in regards to the definition of what a coward is. And we were doing basically a study of Revelations 21. Um, and we got off track on this topic of what a coward actually is. And so what I want to do is really quickly go into the misconception people have in regards to what a coward actually is. Okay. Now, some of the things I might say might at first be kind of jarring to you, but just listen to me and let me get my point out. Okay. When you ask most people what a coward is, people will say, oh, he's a bully, or oh, he's a person that picks on people weaker than them. Okay. And so what people have done today is they have turned or changed the meaning, the true meaning of what a coward is in an attempt to kind of be somewhat of a defense mechanism for their own cowardice. So when you ask people what a coward is and they go straight to, well, he's a bully, somebody that picks on someone weaker than them. Well, first off, that's not what a coward is. Okay. When you look at the definition of the word coward, it's basically a person that lacks courage. It's a person that cowers, a person that's afraid to face something that could cause physical harm. It's people that are afraid to face situations that are dangerous, right? So when you look at a situation where you've got a man who was just arrested for beating his wife, right? Now, I in no way stand for any man that puts hands on a woman. Okay. So do not hear me saying that. Okay. I'm not standing up for women beaters. Okay. Men that beat on women need to be under the prison. They need to be in prison. But listen to what I'm saying. A person will say, oh, he beat his wife, he's a coward. Okay. That's not true. Now, do cowards beat women? Yes, there are cowards that beat women, but a man beating a woman does not make him a coward outright, definitively outright. Okay. There are men in prison who have killed people. Okay. And not with just a weapon, but with a shank, a piece of metal, slit their throat from ear to ear. Okay. When they were free, they beat women. Here's the thing. The person that would call a man a coward because he's a woman beater would not go up to that man and call him a coward. Okay. So hitting a woman as a man does not make a man a coward, but there are cowards that hit women. Okay. When people look at what a coward is today, they look at it in a sense that what people do and how they define certain things is based on how it affects them. So let me give you an example. Okay. You can find on YouTube videos of people being on a bus, and then some idiot comes on a bus and he starts harassing people. He starts getting in people's faces. He starts pushing people. He's an aggressor. He's being physical. No one's doing anything. Everyone's afraid. Okay. Everyone's being quiet. This man is walking around, hitting women upside the head, pushing people, cussing people out. He's just a monster. And then one of the people in the crowd, one of the courageous people, one of the courageous men that's on that bus has enough. And he starts beating this man. Okay. Literally beating him, right? Got him on the ground, punching him in the face. What happens? People start saying, stop. Hey, wait, stop. Don't hit him. Don't hit him. They start taking up for the coward. They start taking up for the person that's on the ground being beat. And the reason they do this, and it's almost in a sense, they begin to look at the person that took a stand as the bad guy. I've seen this. I've seen this in public. I've seen this on videos. They start going against the guy that actually stood up. Stop, don't hit him, stop, please stop. Why are you doing that? They start screaming at the guy, back up. And then I've seen where they go up to the guy who was just assailing people, just harassing people, and they start comforting him. Now you'll say, what is that? Well, what it is it's people identifying with what they are. So the people that didn't have the courage to stand up and fight against the guy who was harassing everyone, they now see that guy on the floor in a position that they see themselves in. So they identify with what they are. Now, if there's another courageous man on that bus, he's going to walk up and he's going to give that guy a handshake. Okay. Because he can identify himself in that guy that stood up for everyone when no one else is standing up. It's all about identifying what you are in the person you see. Okay. So when I hear people say a coward is somebody who, you know, is a bully, that's just not true. Because let's look at that logically. Okay. If the bully is the coward, what does that make the person cowering, crunched over, saying, stop, stop? What does that make him? Courageous? No. Okay. Again, I'm not taking up for people that beat on weaker people. I'm looking at the definition of the word coward. Okay. And the truth is, most men in this, now, when we think about cowards, women are naturally cowards. They're natural cowards. That's just, and that's not a bad thing for a woman to be a coward. Okay. I remember, the last job I had, I remember being in my office and just hearing a bunch of women scream, and then they ran past my office. And I remember I came out and I said, what's going on? And one of them said, it's a bug. It's a bug. I'm like, what? And they point to the ground. And there's this little bug. It was smaller than a penny. I just walk over and I stomp on it and then just pick it up with my fingers. And I'm like, what are you guys running? That's the point, right? But they're women. So we don't look down on them for being that. Okay. Now, if a man did that, those very women would look at him and say he's a coward. Okay. So a coward is a person that lacks courage. Okay. They're afraid to face danger. They're afraid to face pain. They're afraid to face a situation or circumstance that might result in hurt or physical pain or damage. Okay. And so most people, most men are cowards. Okay. And it's not really their fault, because society in a lot of ways creates us to be that, right? Most people have never been in a physical fight. Most men have never been in a physical fight. Okay. So when that type of circumstance creates itself, it puts fear in their heart. They don't know, because and I understand it's a dangerous thing, but the difference between a coward and a person that's courageous is that the person who is courageous, though he is afraid, he pushes through that. He's able to push through the fear and do what needs to be done. Okay. And so, yeah, I just wanted to touch really quickly on the true meaning of a coward. Okay. Because there's a lot of cowards going around calling people cowards that are not cowards. Okay. And like I said before, a lot of men today, they like to use the word coward, or you're a coward, as a defense mechanism for their own cowardice. It's kind of how they suppress their own cowardice, right? Because they'll point at the bully, right? They'll point at the woman beater, but at the same time, they won't step to them in the midst of that confrontation. They'll call the police and hide in the corner and then wait for the police to come. Then they'll step out and say, you're a coward, right? So, yeah.